Hey y'all, how's it going? I've been pretty inconsistent in making videos lately. Sorry. My excuse is my little sister moved in with me, and I'm too self conscious to talk to myself while she's sitting in the corner of the room. Because of this, I have a backlog of a bunch of illustrations I haven't done any videos of. This one that you're watching right now is a drawing I finished quite a bit ago. It's of some characters from my clandestine comic. You can't see them yet, they're gonna pop up on the screen eventually. Specifically, it's Bree, Brett, Murray, and Tori. The comic hasn't been made yet, it's still in the works. But the good news is I have had a lot of progress on the script lately. So with all that out of the way, what's been going on, to start, it needs a little bit of backstory for those of you that don't know. I smashed my hand really bad a while ago now. The whole story behind that is in my last speed draw video for anyone that's interested. Something I don't remember if I had mentioned or not in that video was that project we were working on was my family's birthday present to me. We were celebrating it a couple weeks late. I think whenever I'd injured myself, this is like 3 weeks after my birthday or something like that. My mom, however, a couple weeks prior had gotten me a skateboard for my birthday. I'd ridden it a little bit, just was learning to push myself around on it and going down like steep-ish hills, but nothing like super crazy. Because of the soon-to-be acquired hand injury I received later, I only rode it lightly here and there for quite a few months. By the time my little sister had moved in with me, my hand had healed and we started going to the park outside of our house daily. It was just like a little cement slab for like a basketball hoop. It was small, like the size of 2 parking lots. We just practiced little things like learning to turn and do ollies and shove-its, I think is what they're called. I'm not that great with terms. Meanwhile, back in Vegas, my older brother had gotten a skateboard. He was pretty good. He had ridden skateboards in the past with friends and stuff, though this was like the first one he owned. And he was sending me and my sister videos of the stuff he was doing, and we were getting really jealous really fast because he was a professional and we were still just doing little circles around a little concrete slab. So me and my sister ended up driving up to Vegas to visit family, not to ride at the fancy skate park, obviously. We went straight to the skate park when we got to Vegas. The first thing I decided I wanted to practice learning was to drop in. I had my brother helping me. He was giving me like tips and tricks on how to do it, and he was like holding my hand when I went down to drop in. The little ramp I was practicing on was small. It was like 2 foot tall. It didn't have like a steep decline or anything like that. So I'm getting ready to drop in by myself for the first time, and I start to chicken out. So I'm still standing on my board and I look over my shoulder at my brother because I'm gonna like ask him if he can come give me a hand again because I'm too scared to do it by myself. And then the next thing I hear is my brother saying like, "Oh my gosh, are you all right?" And I think, "Oh no, Bismo must have crashed," before I realized I was on the ground. I was the one that had crashed. I think what had happened was when I twisted to look over my shoulder, I put too much weight on my front foot, which basically picks you up and takes you down the ramp. And because I was looking over like towards my brother and stuff, I didn't see the ground, so I didn't even see that I was falling. Because I hadn't even realized that I was falling, I didn't try catching myself at all. My brother says I just splatted on the ground like a pancake or whatever. The way my brother had called out to ask if I was okay made me think someone had fallen and fallen badly. I assumed Bisbo was the one that had fallen because the way he said it also just made me think he was talking to a girl. I don't know how to explain that. I had my sister and my sister-in-law in my line of sight. The only other girl that was with us that I couldn't see was Bisbo. So I was like, oh no, Bisbo must have crashed. I don't know. It was just a weird detail that stood out to me in that moment. We stayed at the park for quite a bit longer. My arm was really starting to bother me, my right arm. And having just gotten over my hand injury, I was not ready to be right-handless again. So I was just mostly ignoring it. As the sun set and the weather got cooler, the park started to fill up a lot and it was getting really crowded, so we decided to move to another section that just wasn't as popular, and I sat down to take a break. It was a short break, but in the short amount of time I was sitting there, my arm completely locked up on me and I couldn't move it at all, and it was really starting to bother me at that point. And that's kind of when I accepted that my arm was broken. When I had crashed, it was around 5 p.m. and me and my sister-in-law got to the quick care at like 10, 11 o'clock. We honestly didn't have to wait that long, which was nice, and the doctor came in and said that I had broken my radius, and that I had a 75% chance of needing surgery, and that was not exciting to hear, that's for sure. They put me in a split and sent me on my way, and the first thing I tried to do was get some sleep. It was like midnight at this point, and I very quickly started to notice that my ribs were bothering me a lot. They had been bothering me a little bit, but like, I don't know, my arm hurt me more and everything. And by the time morning came around, I was pretty positive that I had broken a couple of my ribs. I actually don't know for sure. I never went and had them checked up. From my understanding, doctors don't really do much about broken ribs anyways. It took me a couple weeks before I saw a doctor again. They were really backed up. And the whole time I was just stressing that my broken arm was healing incorrectly because they had mentioned that I'd probably need surgery. Whenever I got in for my first appointment, the doctor told me that my arm was broken like right in the elbow joint, and that if it were a little lower on the joint, then I would have needed surgery, and like the percentage chance that I'd lose movement in my arm was like extremely high, but it was just high enough that I didn't need surgery. He did not put me in a cast because I still had a high probability for losing movement in my arm, so he wanted me to move it as much as possible but be careful because it was broken. So yeah, I went around castless, which I've actually never had a cast before. I've never broken a bone that requires a cast, and I am not complaining. I don't like the idea of a cast. It sounds like torture. It's been like 3 months since this all happened. My arm really doesn't bother me much anymore. I may have lost a bit of movement in it. It's nothing noticeable. Like, you can't see it if you're like looking, like if I'm looking in the mirror or if anyone's looking at me. I just know if I push my arm up against a flat surface, there's like a little bit of a gap where I don't have it on my left arm. I don't really notice it other than in that specific scenario. I was only drawing with my left hand for like a week before I was able to draw with my right hand again. I couldn't move my arm for quite a few weeks, but I could move my wrist. And I do draw with my whole arm, so it was somewhat of a pain to like sit there and just draw with moving my fingers only and whatnot. But at least it wasn't for like months and months like it was the last time. So in conclusion, if my right arm ends up going out of commission again, I'm going to have a conniption fit. I hope you guys all have a good night, day, or whatever it is. Bye.